Good afternoon. This is the last video for the first book of the In Search of Lost Time series. This is Swann's Way, Volume 1, and my last video on the first book. The first book was structured in a way where the narrator, who is never named in the book, takes up primarily about 2/3 of the book, and then there is a dissension where he talks about Swann and Odette, and that's the part that I haven't talked about yet. Swann and Odette kind of go back and forth in between loving and not loving each other. It's that unrequited love trope, but with a twist where they loved each other in the beginning, and then things change that love in such a way where they don't love each other by the end, but are still together. Swann's biggest issue is that he wants to possess her like a work of art, and Odette does not want to be possessed. She wants to be free. The latter portion, the last little third, is the narrator, and we are introduced to Gilbert, his love, and she doesn't want anything to do with him, which kind of mirrors what was going on with Swann. Swann had some major jealousy issues with Odette, and so it kind of foreshadows that. And, I wonder, of course, if Proust was aware of the foreshadowing, and if he saw, himself or the narrator as a part of Swann, or moving into who Swann's character would be at some point. One thing that I really loved about this first book in the series is that Proust really simmers. And this is something we don't do as contemporary readers far enough. I mean, we need to do this quite often, and we don't. We're ready to just move on to the next thing, and I see a lot of publishers and agents even calling for books that are shorter and saying, I won't read a long book. And even the beginning of the novel that I have slated for publication, a lot of people complained. I had a 2-page description of New Orleans where, this character flies in. You get to see the Gulf of Mexico and the city itself, and then it kind of goes into the cemetery where his father is buried. And, some readers were saying, that's too much description. It's way too much. And I just find that interesting. What I love about Proust is he just doesn't give a damn, for lack of a better way to say it. He's just going to make you simmer. It can be that emotion. It can be that church. It can be that feeling. And this is all very directly tied to the idea of place. And so I want to end this last video for this first book with this great quote from the very end of the book about place. The places we have known do not belong only to the world of space on which we map them for our own convenience. They were only a thin slice, held between the contiguous impressions that composed our life at that time. The memory of a particular image is but regret for a particular moment, and houses, roads, avenues are as fugitive, alas, as the years. What I love about that is he's saying that life is not defined by what we map it to be. Or you can see life, or as a metaphor, place too, right? Place is not just defined by what we see it on as a map. Each of us brings our own experience to it, just in the way that each of us brings our own experience to life. What a great way to start this series. I'm excited for the next 5 books. I'm actually well underway on the second book, and look forward to speaking with you again soon.